That's some Muslim lads who are just saying it's not us, it's not us, it's not us. Because that must, yeah, and the same again. Listen, if you're watching this, yeah, and I'm talking about Muslims, I'm talking about Islam. I know some Muslim lads who would be as outraged growing up, yeah. So I'm not, and again, I'm not portraying it as all Muslims, yeah. There's a problem. The majority of grooming offences are Muslim. The reason and justification given for it can be found in the Quran. All of these things play a role, I think, in these sort of cases. So I talk about them. But to think that every Muslim, or I know some Muslim lads who would want to do to them the same as what every other man would want to do to them. So, and I meet, on my day-to-day, I meet hostile Muslims, but I also meet a lot of decent Muslims who have a sound chat with me, who say how frustrated they are with what's happening. But most of them, you find, don't follow the doctrine or the scripture of Islam. If they did, then it wouldn't be as... So yeah, my problem, again, just to clear the record, my problem's with Islam, with the teachings. It's not with individual people. In fact, Winston Churchill said individual Muslims can show amazing traits, but it is Islam that will bring them backwards. I'll keep the footage, etc., to do a report. I'm also travelling to another city in the north of England tonight to spend time with campaigners who are trying to deal with this sexual exploitation and grooming. If you call it grooming, it's more, I refer to it as, whilst we're on here, whilst we're live, I will be travelling from this city to another city. I will spending time with groups, doing interviews, highlighting and showing people what's happening in towns and cities with regards to grooming gangs or rape jihad gangs across the north of England, across our whole country. I wouldn't be able to do any of that if it wasn't for the people who sign up to support me at tommyrobinson.online.
Shit.
Oh, this is for you. Quick 2 minutes with you.
Are you going to arrest me?
Michael is going to explain what's going to happen next, right?
Am I being arrested?
You are being arrested.
I am being arrested.
Causing a breach of peace.
Of course,
the content of the.
Do you value the work we do? If you do value the work we do, wait until you see what we've got coming next. The plans that we've got coming next, I believe, will be the biggest documentary film this country's seen when it plays out. We're going to get down on the streets. We're going to get into the communities. We're going to speak to the victims. We're going to speak to their parents. We're going to bring you the real news of the grooming from the people themselves. From the people themselves in those towns and cities. We're going to track down and find the men accused. We're going to find the men who are still walking the streets. We're going to do it all. Okay, that's our plan. When I'm telling you I'm going to bring you the grooming documentary that everyone needs to see, I'm going to do it.
Let's see if Mr. Shafiq, can you actually provide any hard and concrete evidence?
Well, I mean, all the evidence is there
can't.
for people to... Well, Nick Ferrari, you need to send your researchers onto it. You send your researchers
respectfully,
onto
sir,
it.
you sat down with
You send your
representatives.
researchers onto it. I mean, I know you've got a habit of, trying to cover this up. But the reality is...
Why would I be
his
trying to
hateful
cover it up?
language
Mr. Shafiq,
well, it's
Mr.
your
Shafiq,
dismissive...
Mr. Shafiq, why would I be trying some of the...
Debate. This
Mr.
is about
Shafiq, could
taking
you
on
just...
hateful speech wherever it comes
Mr.
from.
Shafiq.
And that's what these social media companies do.
Yes,
and
Mr.
the name
Shafiq.
is Mohammed.
All right, Mr. Shafiq, could you provide some examples? Oh, right. Mr. Shafiq, could you provide some examples?
Well, for example, there was a statement that he made about where he got a video together walking through Muslim areas, and he called every single Muslim our enemy combatant who wants to cause ill and harm and kill other human beings in this country.
I've come to Manchester after the terrorist attack last night, and I've started to scratch beneath the surface to find out what problems there are in this city. And I've ended up here, outside this mosque. There's a history of extremism with this mosque. Now, where I'm standing now, within a stone's throw, a 2-mile radius of where I'm standing now, there's been 16 men who have died or been imprisoned for fighting for ISIS. 16, just in a 2-mile radius of this part of the city, not the whole city, just this city. One city across the UK. When you start going into the history and the problems embedded in this area, we've seen a terrorist in 2003 called Burgos. Burgos stabbed a police officer, murdered a police officer in a counter-terrorism raid. I was in jail with him in 2012. He's in control of the prison. He's the main man. So all the people thinking there's a solution to send these men into prison, into normal prisons with car thieves or house burglars, they're running the joint. They're in there living a complete halal life, recruiting and radicalising more and more people. It's not solving our problem. We've seen Andy Burnham, who's the MP for this area. Andy Burnham is on record sitting with an extremist organisation called MEND. This organisation believe that Al-Qaeda are a myth. This is the MP. This is the mayor of Greater Manchester, who's organising a peace vigil today, works and cooperates with Islamic radicals. How can he be claiming he's going to solve the problem? The Justice Secretary for the Labour Party took £5,000. £5,000 off an Islamic radical group. They are in bed with them. Our politicians have sold us out. They're working hand in hand with radical extremists. And what you saw last night is the end outcome of that. Years and years and years of radicalisation extremism that our politicians have allowed to happen, that continues to happen. And the outcome now is our children are being killed. They're being killed. If they're not being raped and destroyed in Rochdale, Rotherham, they're being butchered and maimed in city centres, outside concert halls. That's the future for our generations. It's about time people woke up. When we hear all the time the politicians say, we're all in it together, we're all in it together. 66% of British Muslims said they would not report on another Muslim joining ISIS. Why is that? Because the Quran says that if they side with a non-Muslim, they will end up in hell. It comes back to the ideology again. It comes back to the ideology. You have over 100,000 British Muslims who have said that suicide bombing is justified. The actions you saw last night, we have 100,000 people who think it's justified. That's 100,000 people who need to leave our country. That's 100,000 people enemies. When you see these communities and you see these houses, you think this is a British community, or you might have British Muslims. They are enemy combatants in these houses. In these houses are enemy combatants who want to kill you, maim you and destroy you. They want to destroy our way of life.